Let's do this, man. So, Mike, do I call you Mike, or do you
Yeah,
go,
you can call me Mike.
or do I call you a GunplaDad?
No, that's that feels like it's so outdated in that name now, but I can't change it because I don't know what better name to put because I don't build much gunpla anymore.
Yeah, but it's cool though. I like the name. So,
Yeah, I mean, is the
mhm.
whole idea of my Instagram revolving around my model building and my life as being a dad, and it's been fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's who you are, right? That's your identity, right? So, yeah, for those of you guys who are watching this today, Mike is from the United States and I'm from Malaysia, right? So, I'm pretty excited. I think you are the third American that I have on the show, which is like kind of cool. For me, it's always like a cool thing,
Right.
meeting people from different countries and especially finding out how Hexagear ended up in the States and how it's doing. For me,
Mhm.
it's kind of cool because it's a relatively new model kit line, right? It's
Right. Right.
I think it's gonna turn 4 this year, So I would say it's relatively new, and of course, gunpla is a big thing,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
like no matter where you are, people know about Gundam, right? So
Yeah, and I feel like it's getting bigger. It's spreading out a lot more
for which one?
for
Gundam?
gunpla.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
would say like, for plastic models in general, it seems like I would say ever since the pandemic and quarantines
Mm-hmm.
and everything, people needed stuff to do inside. And I think it's really kind of taken off from there.
Yeah, and that's also one of the reasons like how I got into this as well. Because like I don't know how's the situation over there right now, but in Malaysia, um since March 2020 and right now is what, July, right?
Mhm.
We have spent about 480 days locked down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty crazy, but at the same time, it really, gives us an opportunity to explore and to be creative and to get into, hobbies that we never knew we would be
Right. Right.
into, you know. Right. Oh yeah. First thing first, thank you so much for coming onto my show. I know it's
Well,
a
it's an
pretty,
honor.
yeah.
Honestly, it's great. I'm a fan of your channel. So to be
Thank you
on
so much, Mike.
yeah, to be on your channel is actually really exciting for me.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I don't even know who's watching, but I'm like, you know what? I enjoy doing it, and which is really,
Right.
really important. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, you just gotta have fun. You just gotta enjoy, right?
Right.
And I get to make the content that I like, that I enjoy, and I don't know, I haven't seen anything like this before, so I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I take pride in that. I feel like
Mhm.
whatever we do or whatever we make, we have to be proud of it. You get what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's, I love what you're doing here because of the fact that with your channel and with this series of interviews, because I feel like Hexagear is underrepresented in a lot of social media. On
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, there's really only one big, Hexagear, English speaking group that the one that you're in
That
that I've
we're in.
discovered. And yeah,
Yeah.
that we're in, and I love it. And then the Discord community is even better too. I love. I live on Discord way more than I do on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I love that, and that's what I love about your channel is that going over Hexagear stuff, doing reviews, and then also now talking with people because I mean, you find a few other channels out there that do it, but there is not a whole lot. I mean, I feel like that's like with like kotobukiya in general, but like
Mm-hmm.
especially Hexagear because it's one of their newer lines. I would feel so. I think you're doing like a service for people out there, especially who are because it was like your channel and people like Bo Hidman and
Mm-hmm.
Awesome Toys
Yeah.
channel. They you know if it was those three channels, yours and those other two, is what sold me on getting into Hexagear. I would say.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, that's also one of the reasons on how I started the channel. I mean, I'm not sure if I have shared this before, but I think it was like at the end of 2020, right? So I was just kind of thinking like, okay, I'm not sure how long is this pandemic gonna be? But I really like Hexagear, and I couldn't find a lot of Hexagear videos on YouTube. There's only like maybe like bits and pieces, and people usually maybe they make one video on the early governors or one video on the Balcom Alpha, and I'm like, I kind of want to see more.
Right.
So for me, I need to catch up with the content because I want to push out like the older, like the first generation, the blockbuster, right?
Right.
Or like the 1.0's governance and all of
Mhm.
those, right? So right now I'm like, I can't wait for my break. I'm gonna be having like a couple of weeks, to just kind of catch up on all these things, right?
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of hexagear, what's your first hexagear? What's the
My
first?
very first Hexagear
Yeah.
was actually a governor, and it was the War Mage Hetzer.
Mm.
I had been having my eyes on governors, and that's
Yeah, this
yeah,
one right here.
still my favorite governor. Still my favorite
Yes.
governor.
Yes. I
But
love it.
it was him, and then I had gotten Quetzal or Quetzal. He was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Uh, and then after that, it's like, oh, I like these governors, and I like the idea that they're like pilots for these vehicles. And that's when I started getting into, I
Hmm.
bought my first kit, which was the bulk arm alpha, and put that together, and I was just in love after that.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm featuring this guy right here, the Motor Punisher,
Yeah.
and it actually comes with the governor, right? So for those of you
Mm.
guys who are pretty new to this line, this is what's so cool about this line is that you've got this pilot which is the same scale with the Mac itself, so you can ride on the vehicle on the Mac, and for me I just thought it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I was kind of surprised at how small the scale was with the governors. I had
Hmm.
never really built anything that small before in that small of a scale, and I loved it. Honestly, since then I've fallen in love with the 124 scale.
Yeah. What are you working on? Like, what are you up to?
Well, right now I actually just finished
Hmm.
the Voltrex, the Master Boot Record Edition Voltrex, and
Nice.
its governor. And I would say Voltrex was probably one of the ones that I was not really all that interested in, but once I
Hmm.
built it, I was actually really impressed with it. I really like it. Um, and I would say especially the Master Boot Record Edition box version, the colors. I love the colors on it because it's got kind of like an olive drab color
Yeah, it's
scheme.
kind of like muted, like the
Right.
muted kind of green, like it's like darker. I think
Yes.
it looks nicer. Yeah.
And I would say it fits it a lot better than the bright teal color
Hmm.
that the normal edition comes with.
Yeah.
And
Awesome,
I
man.
had a lot of fun putting this together. Actually, I had a
Yeah.
lot of fun putting it together. And
Which one do you like better? This one or the Ray Blade?
oh, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
I would have to say the Ray Blade. The Ray Blade
Yeah.
is a little and same thing with the Ray Blade. I love the kind of the more muted color scheme of the
Hmm.
Mastered Boot Record Edition, you know, version of it. Really awesome kit. It's solid, and that's probably why I would say I like the Ray Blade a little bit more. That kind of reminds me a little bit of like Zoids. It like has a
Yeah,
sort of a Liger look to it,
definitely.
and but that's not to say that the Voltrex isn't cool. I was actually very surprised with Voltrex. By the time I finished it, it was just really awesome. It had that really kind of like abstract sort of mechanical
Hmm.
Velociraptor kind of look to it, and I was like, wow, this really works for it. It really
Yeah.
works for it. But I would say like there is a couple of joints that are on the legs that are a little weak.
Hmm.
So I would say that's what would put the Ray Blade Impulse like above that for me because I found the Ray Blade to be Impulse to be very very solid.
Yeah, and I found that for the boat tracks, it's kind of hard to pose,
Hmm.
especially with the legs, like around the ball joint by the thighs area. It's it's
Yeah,
it's almost like the top part is too heavy to
right.
support. You know. You want to know what happened to my boat tracks?
Did
Couple
it
of
fall off a
things.
shelf or something?
No, couple of things. First, one of the legs, it actually came out. I don't know how.
Mhm.
and then I broke it, right? So I have to fix that. But
Uh,
let me see if I can find. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm about to show you what happened. This is what I call the junkyard. You see the junkyard right here?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually for the Kit Bash, right? For
Hmm.
the Facebook group. And I actually took apart like two or three of the Hexa Gear and turn it to something else, which I have over here. This guy right here,
Oh,
right?
that's pretty
So
awesome.
so
I like
the
it.
the part the cannon, I think, yeah. So it came here, and then after that, what do you call this? Like the fin, like by the
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
right? So and then I think parts of it as well. So that's also one of the things that I like about Hexagear, right? I feel like for Hexagear fans, everybody can agree that you know um the customization, and you can just take it apart and just build whatever you want, right?
Oh yeah. I
Mm.
would say that that is a huge selling point. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm the kind of person that when I buy a kit, I
Yep.
like how it looks and I want to build that kit that I wanted to buy and see. But the optimism, the options that you have for customization is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. That and the fact that you can fit like the kotobukiya's MSG line of accessories onto them really easily.
Yeah.
The you would think that something like Hexagear with its unique joint system with the hex system
Mm-hmm.
that you would have issues, but Kotobuki has made that so easy with little adapters with uh, um, the uh, the right size holes for the pegs for all their MSG stuff. That was one of the first things I did with my
Frame
bulk
arms
arm
too.
alpha
Yeah.
was that I stuck an MSG rifle in its hand and I was like, it needs another weapon. It needs, because it only really has, like the shoulder cannon
Mm-hmm.
and or not the shoulder cannon, but the large cannon. And I thought, it needs a rifle, and I had one, and it fits well, and it looks great with the look of that bulk arm alpha. And there's been other times where I'm like, I think I can attach this weapon onto there, and just from the extra parts in a box, I was just able to like put it together and get things to fit. And that's great. I think that's great how they give you those little options of like if you want to like massively overhaul the look of a thing, or if you just want to kind of deck it out with more accessories. They give you that freedom.
Yeah. Speaking about extra parts, I think that's also another selling point for Hexagear. It's like it's kind of funny because when I first built the A1 Governor,
Mhm.
like that was literally my first model kit, right? And then I'm
Mhm.
left with all these extra parts. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Because it's like whenever you're making or building something, and if you have
Right.
like leftovers, you'd be like, wait, am I missing something? You get what I mean? But I think eventually I kind of I've grown to appreciate it. you know I think when I first started this journey, for me Hexagear is just about building whatever that's in a box. you
Right.
know I would never want to think about like, oh, customization, things like that. But as I get more and more of them, I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. Let me see what I can do with other kit, but I am not ready to go all out and spray paint color. I'm not gonna mess with that just yet. I'm just gonna
Right. Right.
because I know some people they like to do that. Yeah.
Oh, they do. And and I think that's great. I think, everybody's, expression of it's an expression of individuality
Yes,
and creativity
exactly.
for them to do that. And I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I've seen some like awesome work. Me, I don't necessarily do like, color customs or anything like that because my goal whenever I build is to try to build as best as I can, as clean
Yeah.
as I can, as
Yeah.
good looking as I can. I may
Yeah.
dirty it up a little bit as I'm doing it just to give it a little bit more realism to it. But like, when it comes to painting, I prefer to do like the little details, like the
Yeah. Yeah.
pistons on stuff. And that's what I love about Hexagear. There's like a ton of pistons on there. And
Yeah.
just painting those kind of gives it a little bit more of a pop whenever you see it.
Yeah.
I did that with that bulk arm alpha, and I was like, am I wasting my time? Are people going to see this? But now, when I put it on the shelf, you can see the little glimmers of gold and like chrome silver off of those little pistons. And the
Yeah.
same thing, like as I've been doing these last two, the Ray Blade and with the Voltrex, you
Yeah.
know, painting the hoses and little, like piping and stuff in there. and it just adds something to it, and I think that's great. And that's for me what I love doing. And I mean, for other people they can't build stuff that's like right out of the box. They want to like be more expressive, they want to be more creative. They're like, this kit doesn't isn't me, and they put more of themselves into that, and I think that's great. Everybody's
Mhm.
got their way of enjoying the hobby, but that's just like the way I like to do it. I like to add little details. I like to make it nice and clean, and I like to
Yeah,
make it look good, whenever I can.
yeah, that's awesome. Because I know um of this person, I'm just gonna call him out. Everybody knows Captain Yoon from
Hmm.
Hound Robotics, right? That guy, he told me he bought Hexagear just for its parts. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get a couple of Balcom Alpha and I'm just gonna use the parts. That's it to custom. I was like, wow, okay. You have to be on a certain level to know which part you need to use. You have to be so
Hmm.
familiar with this whole hexagear system to know that okay, I want my mecha to look like this. That's why I need to buy the Balcom Alpha and to get that part so I can make this thing. You know?
Yeah, and that's great. I think that's fantastic in the way they fit all together really well. You've
Mhm.
got the same kind of system and how things are, and it's not just unplug this leg and put it on this body. It's whole parts you can take off and customize, and I think that's great. It's I got into, well, sort of got into another small line from another Chinese company called Rihio,
Yeah.
and they make some like small, like mecha, stuff and vehicles, and it's really cool. But the thing is that it reminded me a little bit more of, say, like Bionicle, where everything was already all cut out. There was just in
Mm-hmm.
bags, and you just put it together. So it felt a little more toy-like.
Mm-hmm.
And but Hexagear, I think, feels great, and they give you those tools. It's like they're giving you like all these parts to like put together however you want, whether it's the way they tell you to do it or however you see to put it together. But I know people like that too. I've got a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out to him, Mike Zetmulder. He's great. He can take a kit and he can completely reimagine it. I've
Wow.
seen him do some things, some crazy, amazing things, um, with kits. Me and some friends got together and we bought him for his birthday one year a perfect grade Gundam GP01, and that's out of Gundams. That's my favorite Gundam. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, man, I want to get, it's got a lot of stuff to it. It's an awesome kit. First thing he did was like, well, I think I can use these parts for making this and these parts for making this. And he used it for totally different things, but he made some awesome stuff with it, stuff that I would have never imagined using
Yeah.
pieces for. And he doesn't care. He will make things fit. He will make things work. He will make things go together. And it's just amazing how some people can do that. I can't do that as
Yeah.
well, but I really respect people who have that creativity to look at something beyond what it is.
Yeah. That's great. Do you have any friends who are into hexagear, or you're kind of like the only one in your
Right
group?
now, out of like
Yeah.
my circle of friends, I'm kind of the only one. So
Yeah.
that's why I love like the the Facebook group. I love the Discord channel because I can talk to other people who actually
Yeah.
also into Hexa. But right now, I'm building the stuff. I'm sharing it with friends who are still, they love Gunpla, and that's great. Right now, for me, I'm kind of like in this journey of like going beyond Gunpla and
Mm-hmm.
Bandai, and right now I'm really big in it, kotobukiya. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I do show it, they're always like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool." But that's still like I'm still like the only one who's doing it.
Yeah. So but before that you had experience in building Gunpla, right?
Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
for a while or
Yeah, I've been seriously building for at least the last 5 years.
mm-hmm.
Um, I initially started building when I was a kid, and my dad got me, he got like a subscription service to like old, like it was like monogram, snap type,
Mm-hmm.
old car, model kits and stuff, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool, but I didn't really think much of it. Later, like around 2000, 2001 or so, when Gundam Wing was big in the United States, they started selling some of the 1/100 scale high grade Gundam wing kits, and I got one. I got Wing Gundam, and I actually really liked it, but I didn't realize that it was as big as it is. I kind of thought of it as a one shot kind of thing. Oh, here's a, because like I got it at a GameStop, and they had like maybe like
Hmm.
2 or 3 kits, and that was it, and that was all you ever saw.
Yeah.
And then I would say like about 5 years ago or so, I started noticing the Gunpla subreddit over on Reddit. I was like,
Hmm.
man, this stuff is really cool. And it's like I could never really do this kind of stuff, but it was just one of the things like I check out every once in a while because I love mecha, I love anime. So seeing that kind of stuff, I was like,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could build that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
then I ran into a friend who was like, man, he's like, that stuff is like a lot easier than you're giving, yourself credit for. It's, it's not that difficult to do. You can do really cool stuff. He showed me some of the things he did, and I ordered a couple HG kits, and then
Yeah.
that was it. Like, uh,
The,
my
the
wife
the
tells me, she was
rabbit
like, yeah, it
the
was like
rabbit hole.
overnight. Yeah, she was like, overnight, it was like all of a sudden, oh, I'm into Gunpla. And that was like all you did.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. But it's like, what about the discovery of hexagear? Is that how did you come about? You know.
Okay, so even when doing Gunpla, I remember looking at like a lot of the MSG accessories and thinking,
Hmm.
man, that looks cool. And then looking at a lot of the other stuff that Kotobukiya did,
Like the Zoids
and
and stuff.
I was like, man, this is really cool. Frame
Hmm.
arms girl, Megami device. I saw those. I'm like, man, those look awesome. And I had friends that told me, oh yeah, their stuff is cool, but they require more work to put into them to make them look good compared to like Gunpla. Gunpla, out of the box, you can make it look really good, and it's pretty easy to put together.
Hmm.
And so I kind of like stayed away from it. And then at one point, I got kind of bored with Gunpla, and I took a break for about like almost a year. I
Hmm.
had moved, and between that time, it's I had a lot going on, and so I just didn't really build. And when I started building again, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something a little different. And that's when I started doing kotobukiya stuff.
Hmm.
And recently, I was like, I want to do some of these, governors. I had been looking at these governors,
Hmm.
and I'd been following because like I like to follow like a lot of what kotobukiya puts out, and
Hmm.
seeing some of the stuff that they put out with hexagear reminded me of like when I originally started looking at like their frame arms and frame arms girl and Megami device.
Hmm.
I was like, I should just at least try one. And that's when I tried a governor, and I was like, this is really cool. Let me try one of the mechs. And it's just one of those things is like, get out of your comfort zone, try one to see what you think about it. And man, I fell into it really hard and really easy after that. I was buying several kits, and I've put together so many. And what's
Yeah.
that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 6 kits now, and I've only been to like Hexa Gear for like like last 6 months or something.
Yeah, because the Warmage has it's pretty new. I think it came out. It actually came out late last year in
Right.
November. So, but hey, good choice for your very first one because it's by far my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
the articulation and yeah, the way that you can pose, and it comes with I think a couple of the head gears, and then also the double submachine guns and all of those things. So those I still have it here. I'm like, man, sounds like super super cool. Yeah.
He's awesome. He's awesome. I had him originally piloting the bulk arm Alpha I built, but then the um the BA Loudgale was more of his, I think he
Same
kind of fit the,
color.
the color scheme and everything with
Yeah.
that, and it looked really awesome with that. So moved him over to there.
Yeah. What's your favorite so far? Is it the Loud
So
Gale?
far,
Yeah.
man.
If you could pick one, because I think you built what, like 5 or 6 of the Mac, right?
Yeah, I've built about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, I would say, I would say that the bulk arm is one of my favorites in just
Mm-hmm.
like the design and the whole concept of it. With like, I like a good big chunky mech,
Yeah.
but I really appreciate some of the ones that are. At first, I didn't like the more animal looking ones, like in their
The
zootech form.
Zotex, yeah.
Yeah,
This guy
but
right
I don't
here.
know. After building like a few of them, man, I've
Yeah.
I've kind of fallen in love with them. And I would probably say that right now the Ray Blade Impulse is probably my favorite that I put together. It's kind
Yeah.
of like doing these kind of like completely changed my my outlook of what hexagear was, because at first I focused on like the bulk arm, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, that's really cool. I like the military aspect to it. It didn't feel like Gundam, where it was more fantasy science
Mm-hmm.
fiction. This felt like more of a harder
It's more
science fiction.
realistic in a
Yeah,
way.
more of a real real based sort of like hard sci-fi. It's like this is like what I would picture a more realistic mecha anime to like feature, and I really like that. But I do have kind of a soft spot for like the animalistic looking kind of mecha like Zoids and stuff. I haven't built a whole lot of Zoids, but it's like I love the look of them. And what I would say, I have built the the supernova versions of like the Zoids that they put out, like the
Mm-hmm.
Murasame and the Hayate, and they're really great kits. And I put together the Ray Blade Impulse, and it's a lot smaller, but the
Yeah.
details on it are just amazing. And
Yeah.
I don't care the fact that it turns into a motorcycle just by itself. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Which one do you like better? The bike type, the vehicle, or like the animal of the ray blade itself? Which one do you
The
like?
the Zootech form, the animal
Yeah.
form, I think is way cooler than that.
Yeah.
The way I look at these things, like when they transform, it's like I look at it as like, is this like an animal that turns into a motorcycle, or is this a motorcycle that turns into an animal? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I feel like this one feels like way more like well thought out as more of the animal form than the motorcycle form.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel the same way with like the Voltrex. And same thing with Weird Tales. Weird Tales was a great kit, and I love
Mhm.
the way it looks in kind of like its hover bike mode. But like these animal, forms that they have, I feel like are a lot more impressive
Yeah.
versus say something like the Loud Gale.
Mm-hmm.
Loud Gale is awesome, but I think it looks a lot cooler as a car than it does as a mech. I think there's
Yeah.
some weird choices in like the legs and the lower half of it. Like the top half of it looks awesome. Lower half of it
Yeah.
and the legs look kind of weird. But when
It's too
I have it
short.
on my shelf, just
It's too
transformed
short.
as its
Yeah.
vehicle, yeah, it's too short. I have it transformed as its vehicle, and it looks awesome. On the shelf, it looks awesome like that.
Yeah. And the weird thing is that, as a vehicle itself, the size is like so big, you
Hmm.
know. But when you transform it into a Mac, it's like,
Yeah, it's
wait,
really
what?
squat
It's
and just
like,
squat and wide.
yeah. I'm still thinking about the weird tales. I'm not sure, I haven't gotten it yet. But for me, it's like, I don't know, it's just like this weird like cat camel looking with like this, like tails. And so can you transform, or how does it work?
Yeah, Weird Tales actually is a big kit. This is probably one of the
Oh
bigger
wow.
Hexagear kits that I've put together. Say like in comparison to the Ray Blade Impulse. Let me just pull these both up so you can see. Here's Ray Blade,
Yeah.
and here's Weird Tales.
Wow.
It's a much larger kit.
Hmm.
Um, it does transform into like a hover bike sort of like mode, but it's more of like it looks like the Weird Tales just folded up. Really, honestly, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But this one,
Can you put a
a lot
governor?
more complex looking than I think
Uh-huh.
is than what it actually is in the build, and it still has that kind of like
Oh
motorcycle
wow,
sort of
that's cool.
aspect to it,
Hmm.
which I think is really cool. And as you see, I have like the Rose 1.5
Yeah.
uh, light armor governor in there.
Yeah.
She goes great with it,
Yeah.
and I still love how it's got the enclosed cockpit in it. And I don't know, there's something about an enclosed cockpit on a vehicle that I think is really cool looking. That's one of the things that I fell in love with the bulk arm alpha was an enclosed cockpit, and it's like the first thing they have you build too in the instructions.
Yes.
And I think that was like it really sold me on the idea of that. And that's what I like about Weird Tales. Weird Tales has like a really cool, but almost sort of different than everything else, sort of like look to it.
Yeah.
But I would recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it for new people looking into Hexagear because I think it's a pricey kit for what you get.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big box, but it feels like you don't have very many runners in the box. Like with the
Mm.
Loud Gale, there was like a ton of runners.
Mm-hmm.
Weird Tales had almost like the same size of box, but like half the runners in it.
Oh wow.
But once you put it together, it's very impressive. And it I find that Hexagear honestly is probably some of the easier kits that I've put together when it comes to the kotobukiya. I
Mm-hmm.
find that they go together really quickly. The way they put the stuff together, they have you put stuff together makes a lot of sense because I feel like a lot of it's modular. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like you put together this, and this, and this, these snap together, and there you got it all together. Um, I would say that honestly, right now, in my opinion, I feel like Hexagear is probably one of Kotobukiya's better lines for just introducing people into something that's like outside of Gunpla. That
Yeah.
would be like, the closest thing I think, like if you wanted to like step out of your comfort zone, if you're used to Gunpla, Hexagear I think is a great choice.
Yeah. I think for me, right, when it comes to Hexa Gear, one of the things that I really like about it, I mean, I'm not sure if you feel this way too, but whenever I'm building, you know, a Hexa Gear kit, there's like this wow factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whenever I put parts together, I was like, wow, oh, this part goes here, and okay, that's cool,
Yeah.
because I don't know, I've only built one Gunpla so far, and this
Hmm.
guy right here at the back. Let me see if I can grab it. Oh, this guy, the RX-78 too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which what grade is that, the high grade one
oh man,
or?
I can't. I think so. I think it's the HG 100. I think one of those. Can't remember. So because like I was building Hexagear, and I was like, okay, a lot of people they are building Gunpla. Then maybe I should give it a try. And
Mhm.
see how it feels, right? It's like after I build, I feel like once I build a Gundam, I can't take it out. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know. I feel like if I try to take it out, I'm gonna break something. It's like I'm just gonna
Oh
leave
yeah.
it the way it is, and then it looks good, and just put it up, with the stickers and stuff like that. It's like I'm not touching it anymore. But with Hexa Gear, well, okay, let me get my tools and try to see what I can do with this. Take this part out and just to have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that there's more of a playability factor when it comes to something like Hexagear for that. And not
Mm-hmm.
just like, just playing with them, but I mean, as in like doing things with them, like you said, like, oh, I built this. Now what else can I do with it? And
Mm-hmm.
there's those possibilities are endless, and it's a really cool aspect of it.
Yeah. But one thing about Hexagear that I don't really like, right, is that sometimes I feel like, okay, for example, the Ray Blade, right?
Hmm.
They only give you like the blade, which is only for one side kind of thing. I think they like to do that a lot. It's like they don't give you like both. It's like they only give you like one weapon that you can attach to like the left side of the body. And when I look at it, I'm like, well, it looks kind of weird. I kind of wish that they give you twice of the blade that you can put on the Ray Blade. You get what?
Actually, with I'm not sure if it is with the regular release, but with the Ray Blade Impulse that's on that comes with the Master Boot Record box, it
Mm-hmm.
comes with two sets of blades, so you can have blades on both sides of it, which I think looks really awesome. That's how I had it on my shelf there a moment ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with actually two different sets of blades for both
Yeah,
sides.
one
Like,
with the curve kind, the one with the
yeah,
pattern.
there's one with like the straight looking just blade, like,
Yeah,
and then the other one that's kind of the more I
cool
guess,
looking.
yeah, it's cool looking, like it's all energized and like energy
Yeah,
surging off of it. And so you get like a set of these and a set of like regular ones on both sides, which I was very
yeah,
impressed. I was expecting, like you said, like one side. Maybe that's just the regular release one, but
yeah,
having both of them on there takes up more room on the shelf. But I
yeah,
think it's a lot more worth it, whenever you have it on there. It looks just really awesome.
yeah. And I feel like Hexagear is coming up with more and more like new and different designs.
Yeah,
it's not predictable.
right,
That
right.
whenever they come up with something, you're like, oh wow, that's really cool. And I feel like nowadays they are coming up more with this. It's kind of like Egyptian-ish, like with the dogs and also with the
Mhm.
weird tails. It kind of has that vibe to me. It's like yeah.
And I agree, and it's one of those things that I love. And one of the only reasons why I kind of stopped building Gunpla is that kind of got tired of it because it's a lot of the same kind of designs. You got a just different series, and a Gundam is a Gundam in the end. A Gundam is very identifiable. It's like, oh, that's a Gundam, no matter what series you're in.
Hmm.
But you kind of know what to expect. But with, like, yeah, with, like you said, with the Hexagear, they can really surprise you. You can have something that's really bulky and more military looking, like the Loud Gal was really cool looking. You have a huge mech with this kind of like desert dune buggy, almost Mad Max sort of like post-apocalyptic look to it,
Hmm.
and then you have something like the Weird Tales where you have like a nine-tailed fox
Yeah.
mecha, vehicle that's just like, who knew, that could fit into the same kind of universe that they're doing with Hexagear. And I love that. I love that, that surprise in that just
Hmm.
different sort of aesthetic that you get with these.
Hmm. Is there anything that you kind of wish that Hexagear would do differently, or like or you don't really like some aspects to Hexagear? What is that?
Yes, I have one big major complaint,
Yeah.
and that is I wish they would do more pre-printed faces on their governors. Having blank head governors, I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but I really wish you would
Yeah.
have just like a solid flesh colored, head with an awesome looking governor. I kind of like the ones with the helmets a little bit more because you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you just cover it.
Yeah.
Especially with this scale. I mean, like, guys, like you have to see, this is like this tiny little head, and you have
Mhm.
to paint like eyes on it. I feel like eyes are the hardest things to paint, because it can literally make or break the
Oh,
way
absolutely.
it looks. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was glad with with the Governor Rose, that they gave you an option of a head that had sunglasses on. That way I didn't have to paint eyes. All I had to do was just paint the hair and kind of
Yeah.
like, lightly, color like, the lips and like the cheeks to make it look a little bit more lifelike, and that was it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to try to paint eyes. I'm sorry."
Yeah, exactly. I think especially for the female governors, you
Mhm.
know like, man, if it's a guy governor, I don't care. I can just like put dots on the eyes, and it
Right.
it will still look okay. But if it's a female governor, man, I'm not even gonna touch it. But it looks great. It looks great. I think that's also one of the reasons why I'm kind of skeptical, or not wanting to buy the Governor 6. you know I was like, man, she looks really cool. She's like a medic, I think. I'm not sure, right?
Yeah, she's like a pilot because she comes with like some, like, it looks like helicopter pilot type of like, helmets.
Yeah,
But then she also, like, the only stuff she comes with is like a
a
medic
medic
kit
kit.
gun or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, I almost got it until I read the description. You say it's not pre-painted. I was like, what? But your promo picture, they it looks so good, right?
They do. They
Yeah.
absolutely, so, and and it's not like it's impossible for them to pre-paint some of this stuff. Like some of the stuff comes pre-painted, like the early governors, the guys that like the big muscled guys that don't have shirts on, like their heads are pre-painted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are. You look in the descriptions and like stuff for those guys, their heads are pre-painted.
Mm,
I really wish they would do it for all of them, like you said, especially for the female governors. And I think one of
yeah.
the biggest things that I don't like about that is the fact that like the heads will have like a hat or a helmet or something on that's still the same color as everything else. I would rather much have to deal with little tiny pieces that I have to attach on there for like a hat or a helmet than to try to like color match the rest of the
Oh,
uniform with that hat or with that helmet.
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. I just realized that they literally just gave you the non-painted head, like a full head, and then
Yeah,
you
the
have to
full head, non-painted.
you have to figure out, okay, the hair color. How should I do this? You know, that's good. That's cool. So, are you getting anything pre-ordering any Hexagear stuff?
At the moment, not really, because I think I've gotten a lot of what I've wanted right now.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that I definitely do want that is coming out, especially all the Night Stalker stuff that's going to be coming out later this year. I'm definitely going to get that pack of like the three governors with the
Yeah.
Night Stalker colors. I really want to get the Abyss Crawler Night
Mhm.
Stalker version. I
Yeah.
thought like the regular Abyss Crawler looked okay, but when I saw the Night Stalker version of the Abyss Crawler, I'm like, okay, I gotta have that.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know what that means also? I gotta get a bulk arm beta lumberjack because it's more in and the Night Stalker colors.
Yeah,
And then they've got their Jeep and the motorcycle. There's like all this stuff is like, okay, I know it's just different color stuff, but you
yeah.
sold me.
That's how they do it, man. They just release like just a little bit. It's like they give you the three governors, but they don't give you any weapons.
Oh yeah, so you have to buy the what's it
The booster
the
pack.
box? Yeah, with the weapons. I kind of really wish that Kotobukiya would give you more accessory packs for the governors, like an
Mhm.
accessory pack of just guns. Like that would be great. I would buy that. I'd buy more than
Yeah,
one just to deck
yeah,
out all of my governors and guns.
yeah, yeah. I think for me, I almost got the scarecrow, the older
Hmm.
one, the one with the blue color looking,
Hmm.
which is almost the same color as the abyss crawler, right? So I almost got both of them, and then they released the forest version. I was like, okay, because I'm not too crazy about that sky turquoise blue.
Oh no,
Uh,
I get you with that. I'm not a big fan of that either.
yeah. So and then after that, I'm like, should I get the abyss crawler? Maybe, maybe not. And then they announced Night Stalker, and I'm like, man, I just clicked pre-order with my local store. You know. So yeah, I've got that coming in the Lord Impulse that comes with
Yes.
the governor, the green color. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I'm
Lord
gonna
Impulse is another one of those ones that I kind of really want the jungle
jungle
color
type. Yeah,
for that jungle type for Lord Impulse. Another great one. And I've heard that Lord Impulse is even better than Rayblade Impulse, so that makes me even more excited to get my hands on one of those.
yeah. So for me, I think that's about all the hexagear stuff that's coming out this year. I think.
Yeah, I would say I think so. I think you're right. It's they're kind of focusing uh on that Night Stalker theme and then like some of the jungle stuff that's been coming out. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing more of what they're going to do, what they're putting out, or like what they've shown prototypes for, like the dogs and stuff that they're going to
Yeah.
come out with. Those look really cool.
Yeah. Are you gonna go back and try to get some of the older
Oh, of course, I'm a
governors and stuff like that?
oh absolutely, but I'm going to wait for some 1.5s and some of these governors because I'll tell you,
Yeah.
building some of the newer ones are nice,
Mm-hmm.
but then building the governors that came in the Master Boot record box, those are 1.0s of like the A1
Mm-hmm.
Pawn and the Sentinel. They're all right. The A1 Pawn was pretty cool, but the Sentinel, probably one of the worst governors that I put together.
Why?
Because mainly because all of the rubber parts on it, like the soft
Uh,
plastic rubbery kind of parts
yeah,
on it. Like the torso has a lot of, the like that
the
soft rubbery
PVC
sort of plastic.
part. Yeah.
Don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
like that. It feels like it's less so with the A1 Pawn.
Mm-hmm.
He stays together a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But the Sentinel, for some reason, I feel like his parts feel softer or something, or there's more
Yeah.
of the rubbery stuff, and it looks cool, but it's
Yeah.
one of those things that I don't think I'm going to move him around so much once I get him positioned anywhere.
Yeah. I have I think all the different versions of the Sentinel. Um the 1.0, 1.5, the one from the Master Boot record, and
Mhm.
this guy right here. Yeah. I thought it was alright, it's like the more you build these hexagear governors, eventually like you don't really need to go over the instruction manuals. When you look at it,
Yeah,
you be
they're all
like,
built the
yeah,
exact same. Yeah,
yeah. So I think that's quite easy. But when it comes to the Mac, I think it really depends. Some of them it really takes a long time. And it depends on how perfect you want it to be. You
right.
know, because like some people they are very particular about how
Hmm.
clean they want it to be, and it's gonna take a long time. But for me, it's like, yeah, I just wanna have fun and build it. Yeah. Do you
No,
usually
I know
build?
what you mean, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt like it. Well, I will say that I think Kotobukiya does a really good job in how they do the nub placement on like the gates on the runners for like the parts, where
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a whole lot of nubs that are left on there that are hard to clean. Every once in a while, you come across one that's not bad, but I've had no problem putting together like some pretty clean builds and like hiding nub marks on these things, and
Mm-hmm.
and they look great just out of the box. And like I said, I've felt that Hexa Gear are some like quick builds. They're quick builds for really
Mm-hmm.
awesome looking kits. And I'm the kind of person that will take time on a kit, and I can bust one of these out in like about 2 or 3 sittings, of like a
Yeah.
couple hours a piece. And so
Yeah.
for me, that's quick.
Yeah. For me, I think I'm kind of similar, um, as you are. Like I like to take my time because I know there are people who just want to like get it done in
Mhm.
one sitting, because
Right.
they be like, oh, I just want to get my kit done, But for me, I'm like, okay, if today I can only fix the arms and like the upper
Hmm.
parts of the body, and I'm fine, I can just leave it there. And when I come back tomorrow, to
Right.
like, oh, what else can I do today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll never be one of those kind of people that can put together a kit in like one day. I mean, I could if I tried, but I'm the kind of person that takes like 2 or 3 hours to put together a 30-minute
Mhm.
mission kit.
Yeah,
They're not 30 minutes for me,
it's a
they're about 2 or 3
lie.
hours.
I'm telling you, it's a lie. When
It
they say
is.
it's 30 minutes, and then when I was like taking everything out, I'm like, man, I've built like 5 or 6 of them, and it's not 30 minutes, man.
No, it's not. I mean, if you want to put it together as quickly as possible and you don't care how clean it looks, yeah, it can take 30 minutes, but the way I work on a kit, yeah, no, it's way more than 30 minutes.
They probably just cut it right off and just build it.
Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice. So yeah, man, it's nice chatting with you and catching up. I think we've been talking for a while now, and
Yeah.
even before today, I think I can't remember, was it Facebook or Instagram? We just connect on one of those social media platforms. And
Yeah, it was when you were looking for people to interview for this series,
yeah,
and I expressed interest, you reached out to me, and then we've kind
yeah,
of been just going back and forth talking ever since, and
yeah.
especially on Discord and stuff. So it's been great. Like I said, I was really looking forward to sitting down and getting to chat with you. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, and of course, my goal is to roll out at least 10 episodes for this year, and then we're gonna do a season finale where I'm gonna try and get everybody from episode one. We're gonna do like a Hexa convention, whatever, man. I don't know.
I think
It's
it's
yeah,
awesome. It's a great
yeah.
idea.
But the tricky part is that um we have so many people from different countries, so we just
Hmm.
kind of have to work on the time zone. But I think at least like in Asia right now, it's like late in the evening, but
Hmm.
for you guys over there, it's like you're just starting. And we
Right.
also have some people in Europe, which are like, what, I think it's in the afternoon right now. So we just
Hmm.
have to find a time where most of us can make it, and then we're just gonna talk about Hexakia, because at the end of the year, um, I believe that most of us would have gotten like new stuff. Because
Hmm.
right now a lot of us, we are still talking about loud gear. We are still talking about like weird tales. Even for the governors, um, which one? Which are the new ones? The volume 6, I think. Is that the new
Yeah.
one? I
Is
think
it volume 6 or is it volume 9? I can't remember what it is.
I think it's a 6. Oh no, actually that's the led mirror, the rabbit girl, the white rabbit
That's
girl.
right. You have a lat mirror and lat
Yeah,
black.
yeah,
That's going to be coming out with like the 1.5s of those.
yeah, yeah,
That's right.
yeah. I'm actually still waiting on that, and that's also one of the reasons why I decided to get this like white and purple
Hmm.
color, so I can just kind of build an army around that color scheme. But yeah, man, it's been fun. Thank you so much, Mike, for spending
Yeah,
your Saturday morning with me on this
it was
show.
a pleasure. It was great, and I'll do this anytime, all day long. So,
Yeah. Anything else you wanna add on, or?
124 scale. I keep telling people armored puppet, great stuff. A lot of people
Yeah.
love using armored puppet with Hexa Gear. I feel like if anybody is a Hexa Gear fan that hasn't tried armor, number 57's Creative Works armored puppets, they need
Yeah.
to. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I've fallen so in love with those ever since I started Hexa Gear and I tried those because I've heard people say, "Oh, they're the same scale as the Governors. They're
Hmm.
awesome." And yeah, it's true. It's actually absolutely true. All of them are really
Yeah.
awesome.
But what I notice is that there are actually more and more 1/24th scale stuff coming out. Just from seeing images from different toy fair, it's like, man, people are starting to look into this scale, and you just kind of have the pilot and then the Mac, and I'm excited. I think it's a pretty fun size, especially if it's,
It is. It is.
yeah, like you can play with it. And I mean, that's what I want. I don't want to just build something and just put it there. Once in a while I'm just gonna like, okay, what can I do?
Oh, and then that's great. You can have just a Governor like just on your desk, with you right
Yeah,
there.
I
Change it,
just
like to some awesome poses or something like that, and they're fun to play with. They honestly are. And I'm a kid that grew up in the '80s
yeah,
playing with action figures and GI Joe
yeah,
and a lot of this stuff. And I think that's kind of what it reminds me of a little bit with this stuff. Except I'm building it, I'm
yeah,
customizing it myself, I'm putting together. It's not just something I'm just pull out of a box and put on the shelf. It's something that I put my work into, and I love that.
yeah.
And if it wasn't for Hexagear, I wouldn't have gone into the 1/24 scale. I was confused as into like why kotobukiya started putting out like frame arms girls and their
Hand
hand scale
scale.
size.
Yeah.
This is one of the first ones I've gotten. I haven't put it together yet,
Hmm.
but but now I get it. I completely get it, and I was like, I need to get all the hand scale frame arms girls now.
Do they have a lot? I thought they only have a few of them, right? It's like just
Yeah,
a handful of them, I
they've
think.
got four of them out right now, and
Yeah,
there's at least one more that's coming out because right now they've got Hatsune Miku.
yeah.
Hatsune Miku, they have Gorai, Stylet, Loviz, and Innocentia, and then they're coming out with
Another
Architect.
Gurai. Another Gurai end of this year.
Yeah,
The
and I'm looking forward to the Architect one coming out too. I'm definitely gonna be
Yeah.
getting that one. I recently got one of the Gorai hand scale. She comes with the Mechatro we go little mecha, kind of a cross promotional thing. I think
Yeah.
Hasegawa with uh
Yeah.
with Kotobukiya.
You know what? I call it the potato robot.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, recently a friend of mine got it. He's like pretty excited. Daniel from Spain,
Hmm.
he got it, and I told him, I was like, "Oh, you got the potato robot?" He's like, "Yeah," because he's so crazy about that. What's it called? The Mechatron Go?
Yeah,
Mechatron. Yeah,
Mechatro we go. Yeah.
yeah. He say he loves those things. Kind of reminds me of the game too. What's it called? The PS4 game, the one where you have to compete with others and try not to. Can't remember what's it called right now. Fallout guys, Fall Guys.
Oh yeah, that's
You
right.
know what I'm talking
It does
about?
kind of look like those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. All right, I'm gonna let you enjoy your Saturday, your weekend, and I'm gonna catch my sleep. It's
Yeah,
almost
you get
midnight
some
here.
sleep and I'll get the day started.
All right, man. I'll talk to you
All right.
later on Discord, whatever. So,
Okay,
guys, okay.
absolutely.
And guys, we have a Facebook group, Hexagear Facebook group. I'm gonna put the link here. I think we need more people in this community, and no matter where you are, feel free to join us. And I have a Discord too, if you want to come. There's only a few of us, but hey, whatever. Right. Okay. All right. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay, have a good
Sounds
one.
good.